All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our 2 p.m. Coping with COVID-19 Creative Solutions for Your Business webinar. My name is Patrick Linsman. I'm Senior Program Manager at the Center for Business Growth and Innovation at the University of Northern Iowa. Thank you for taking the time out of your afternoon to join us for this session. Very appreciative to be joined by Zach Everman, CEO and Chief Creative Officer of Pixel Labs, and my colleague and friend Ricki Alford, who's from the Center for Business Growth and Innovation. We're going to be live on Zoom. We're live on Facebook. So if you have questions for us or for Zach, please comment or put them in the Q&A box. And this webinar is being recorded and will be available afterwards on advancediowa.com and cbgi.uni.edu. and a couple other places, and maybe Zach will even put it on his website or something like that. So we're excited to have everybody here with us. We've got seen the title. Today we're talking marketing, kind of during the crisis, especially when all of your customers aren't able to come see you in person. So we'll let you get a good look at us. Happy to have you here this afternoon. Why don't we do a couple quick introductions? So Zach, why don't you just tell us a little bit about the business, kind of what you've been doing, a little bit of that history.
Yeah, I'm Zach, obviously. Pixel Labs is a marketing and video production agency here in Cedar Falls. And one of the things that we really started doing after all of this stuff started happening is started focusing on what our core mission was, and that was to help people and help businesses succeed. And we do that through video production, creative, graphic design, marketing, and anything strategic on social media.
Awesome. So I also got my colleague Ricki here, and she's here to ask Zach these really hard marketing questions. She's the marketing and communications coordinator for not only our center, but also our department. So and she gets to answer some of these too. She didn't know that going into it. To have to put in her 2 cents. So first and foremost, I want to hear from both of you. We're now, it's April 1st. Not a very happy April Fool's Day this year, but as you've looked back, just first some thoughts on kind of things you've seen changed, some of the impacts of marketing for businesses to their customers, sort of since 3 weeks since businesses have closed.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that I've seen is, first of all, a lot of the ads that you see now are all about how people can do pickup and carry out of their services because so many businesses have closed down because they are suggested to or they're required to based on the type of business they are. So watching all of that marketing over the course of the last couple of weeks shift so quickly was kind of a testament to me as far as how in touch people were with what they needed to do with their marketing strategy, and how quickly they were able to pivot from what their messages were before that to what they needed to do post foot traffic in their stores. So that was probably the biggest thing that I noticed over the last couple of weeks that I found most interesting.
Well, and to expand upon that, I've also seen companies change what they're offering. For example, places like Urban Pie, where you can go in and get an individual pizza, you can now get family pizzas. You can get family packs where you get 2 large pizzas and some beers. I mean, people are delivering beers. They're just changing what they're doing. So I think that that's, in a weird way, kind of fun and kind of interesting to see happen, how that's kind of evolving so quickly and how many people are just adapting so quick to what's going on.
100%.
Go ahead, Zach.
I was just going to say, one of our clients, Fusion Dance and Performing Arts, their entire studio is closed down, and that's what they offer is people, hundreds of kids coming into the studio to dance. And over the last couple of weeks, we had to shift their entire strategy of how they get that information to their students and created an entire online school for all their students to take their weekly classes at.
Yeah, it's been incredible to see the shift, kind of as things have definitely evolved. One thing that I was wondering is really as we think about all of the channels, there's a lot of noise and news, whether it be on social or just on TV. Any thoughts as you're looking to market and reach your customers? Maybe some different things that you have to do to be able to cut through that?
Well, as you can imagine, a lot of that news is not exactly positive news at this point. And one of the biggest things that I think is beneficial when you're looking at the content that you're putting out on your social media platforms is making sure that all of the content you're doing is based around positivity, because that's what people want to see, and it's what people need to see right now is uh, other people in the community staying positive, and in from a business standpoint, showing that they're confident that they'll be there for their customers throughout this entire process.
Yeah, I agree. Positivity. And also, I've also seen a rise in social entertainment, which from companies, which is fun because we're all bored and we're all sitting at home. So,
So when you say social entertainment, what do you mean, Ricky?
all sorts of things like Zach was saying, the online classes, artists are getting out there and teaching people how to draw, anywhere from kids to adults. um, Even just funny jokes that make you laugh. I mean, um, it's all entertainment. And then you have places like Single Speed who are hosting online concerts, and drinking nights and different things like that. So yeah, trying to keep people occupied and not go crazy while we're all sitting at home.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so
So Dropkick Murphys, a band, they typically host a St. Patrick's Day concert every year, this huge concert. And this year it was canceled. So instead what they did is they did an online concert at the same venue to their audience, all live streamed. And it was huge. And the fans of Dropkick Murphy definitely appreciated their effort in that. And from a marketing standpoint, is really strategic and really smart for them to do that.
Yeah.
So can you elaborate on that to keep this thinking of marketing and reaching your customers? So whether it's free entertainment or different things, how do you see that as, continuing to, what is that going to turn into revenue? I guess that's the blunt question. When is that going to come back in terms of making money for the business or the brand?
Right. So, I mean, a lot of people are slowing down what they're spending, and they're also spending on different things, such as groceries and toilet paper. I'm sure Charmin's marketing is doing pretty good right now. So, uh, but ultimately, it's all going to come back later on down the road once things start to smooth over a little bit. Those companies that spent the time to stay connected with their audience through live streaming and through consistent posting on social media, just letting their customers know that they still exist and that they're still there. Those companies will, in return, get that loyalty factor back when that money is back in the pockets of their customers to spend with them again. And those customers will remember that far more than the companies that stopped marketing as a whole.
I
Any,
agree. Yeah.
as you say, any other thoughts on that, Ricky?
No, I mean, I agree completely. I think that if you can provide somebody with a great experience, whether or not it's a free, funny thing online to keep you entertained during this time or something else, I mean, you're going to remember that experience and you're going to want to support them.
Right.
Absolutely. So I think looking through some of the questions here, one that I want to maybe talk about, in obviously this interesting time is what are some things people can. So I guess the question is, should you reference obviously the huge current event going on, the COVID-19 crisis, in your marketing, or go about business as usual?
We suggested referencing it early on, making sure that people knew that you were not oblivious to what's going on in the world. But after that, like it's kind of like beating the horse. Like everyone knows it's here. It's more so change that messaging from that to what you're there to do for your customers.
So we all want to get your thoughts on them because I know you even sent a couple. We all saw the memes and jokes about any mailing list you'd ever been on, switching to email marketing here. Maybe it was a company you visited once, you get an update on their response to COVID-19. As people are trying to reach out through different mediums, email being one, have you seen, at least in that sense, any sort of changes or thoughts on if you haven't sent one of those emails, if maybe you should think about acknowledging what's going on?
Yeah, it was something that I noticed in those first few weeks or first couple of weeks, is that there are a lot of people, or I was getting a lot of emails from those different vendors that we work with, just as COVID responses and what they're doing for their customers. And we were probably a little bit late to that as far as like posting what our response was, because we don't have a big widespread reach of people that we work with. So we weren't super concerned about it. But when we did send that email out to our client list, it was kind of a yet another COVID email. And instead of focusing on this is how we're responding, it was more so we wanted to offer advice to people, because we knew that the big shift of working at home and working remotely was going to happen. It was inevitable at that point. So we wrote a blog post that was filled with a few different tips of how people could work more efficiently at home. And we used that as piece of our marketing content and offered advice that way as our email marketing. And then we helped support that by sharing the same post across Facebook and LinkedIn as well. So instead of it being solely about our response to COVID or anything like that, it was more so about how can we as a company help our customers get through these next few months of working remotely, and how can we support them best.
That's a great point, and one that we've talked about a little bit before we got onto the call today, and so I'm going to ask you anyway. So you talked about supporting your customers there and kind of being there for them. I just want to take a couple minutes and get you guys' thoughts on maybe the moral struggle of continuing to push marketing, trying to sell services, whether they're essential or recreational, during the pandemic. I think a few people I've heard from, it feels like no one's interested. Why would they want to buy this product or service when they've got all these other things going on? So I just wanted to kind of hear a couple of your thoughts on, pushing for, charging for services, products, when the world is kind of dealing with lots of other things right now.
I think the biggest thing because I struggle with the same thing. I've done a lot of work for free, so to speak, over the last couple of weeks, just because I want to see our clients succeed and I want to see our clients do better and make it through the whole thing too. So I don't want to leave them hanging by any means. And I also know that they're struggling the same way that all the other businesses are too. So if you have that ability to offer discounts on your services, or even do some things for free just to help get them through it, that's always a good way to build up that good karma for once everything blows over. And it goes back to that loyalty factor. But then the other thing to think about is if you can't do that, if you have products and services that, you have to charge for, think about how they fall into place with how people are coping with COVID, and how do your services help people get through these tough times? If it's, I'm sure Zoom, they're not too shy about marketing right now, because they know that their service is needed for every one of these people that are doing conference calls to keep their businesses running. And so you have to think about how essential your product or service is to the current situation in the world before you go and be too aggressive with your marketing. If your service is more of a luxury or, like you said, a recreational thing, you have to get a little bit softer with your marketing and talk a little bit more about the lighter side of everything that's going on, and make your messaging more about your brand and why you exist, and the fact that you're there for their customers, in a much softer way, rather than focusing only on the selling side of everything.
Well, and to your point, even Zoom has gotten a little softer, because just recently it was publicized that they gave all K through 12 students and teachers free use of their platform. So,
Right.
I mean, that's pretty great.
Zencaster did something kind of similar. They offered, typically their free version does not offer this, but their paid version has unlimited guests, I think is what it is, and then more than 4 hours or 5 hours of recording per week or per month. And they've lifted both of those limits during, like, they have a whole badge right on their website that just says, like, these limits don't apply anymore. So take advantage of these while you can. And we've been using it because we were recording a podcast for a couple of local women, and we were doing it in our studio or in our office, and we now have to do it remotely. And it's something where it works a lot better when I can host it and then have both of them come in. And I went to Zencaster's website expecting to have to pay for a service, and we found out that we were able to do it for free.
Interesting. So I hear you blowing up over there, Everman.
A little bit.
Oh, that's all right. For those of you just joining us, we're having a conversation with Zach Everman, the Chief Creative Officer, CEO, President, Owner, extraordinaire from Pixel Labs, company here in Cedar Falls. I'm Patrick Linsman with you and I, joined by my colleague Ricki. We're just talking marketing during the COVID crisis. So one thing that your comments there just made me think of is some channels, i.e. word of mouth, maybe got shut down a little bit. Walk-in customers, walk-in traffic. What are some new or exciting techniques that you've seen companies really lean into, when maybe some of their other channels, traditional channels, have not been as lucrative?
I think you're doing one of them, and that's live streaming. Companies that are live streaming right now to stay connected are the ones that are staying in front of their customers the best, because live streaming is a much more interactive, engaging space for people to be. And I mean, I see there's a couple questions on the Q&A right now too. Like, the ability to let people ask questions live and you answer them is very similar to being right there in front of them, as if they're walking through your store and letting them ask you questions. So for me, live streaming is definitely one of those spaces where, if you're not doing it right now, if your business makes sense to live stream, which almost every business has the potential of live streaming, it's something you should be trying out and at least seeing how it works for your company.
Can we talk specifics on that for just a second? Let's say I own a retail store. I mean, I'm closed most likely from non-essential. So how can I take advantage of live streaming?
I think it'd be really cool for retail stores to do little live streams. I mean, you can go into your own store and do live streams, especially if you have an e-commerce element to your store. And again, if you don't, right now is the time to start building one up, at least at the basic level. But do a live stream that's like kind of a home shopping network type show, where bring products on that you want to feature that are available for people to buy, and you either ship them to them or deliver them to them yourselves, however you want to do it. But a live stream show for a retail shop makes a ton of sense, because it allows people to, first of all, get that FaceTime with you as a business owner, as a manager of the store, but also you can put your products in front of them when they can't come into the store and put themselves in front of the products.
That is an awesome idea. So now, how would someone who's never live streamed before in their life go about maybe learning about how to do that, or maybe some tools they can use to make that happen?
Depending on where your audience, where you have the biggest audience, almost every social media platform now has some sort of live feature to it. Whether that's Facebook or Instagram, whichever one it is, you can just go straight live from your phone. All smartphones have the capability of going into the app, going into your page manager, and when you go to the new post or creating a new post to publish, there's publishing tools that let you go live straight from your phone. And audio wise, it'll pick up fine and it'll sound fine, especially given what we're in. A lot of people are a lot more forgiving right now of the production value of video right now, because it's not about having a Michael Bay film live stream to you. It's about getting that FaceTime with your clients.
Yeah, this is definitely not a Michael Bay production right here. I'm live from my basement. You guys are in home offices and nicer spaces than mine, probably, as we're all trying to adapt. One thing you mentioned in there too, Zach, that I think will speak to one of our questions from our loyal listener and follower, Dan, is if I've not done e-commerce before, what are some of those initial things that I can do to begin to break into it, and then start to build an audience through e-commerce? Any tips you've got?
Start with the basics. There's a lot of platforms that allow you to get an e-commerce platform set up really easy. Something like Shopify or Sellfy. Both of them are kind of all-in-one packages where you just set up an account and you start creating listings. It doesn't have to be built into your website at this point. It's something that you could do third party just to get you through what you need to do now. But start small and pick a handful of your most popular products that you know people want to buy, rather than trying to get everything on your e-commerce store from the start. Put the popular items on first and then start to add the extra things that people are asking for more. And from there, it's just a matter of making sure people know that you started it and post on Facebook. I keep going back to Fusion, but Fusion has apparel and water bottles and stuff like that in their shop at the studio that people aren't coming and buying anymore because no one's in the studio. And that's something that we're setting up for them right now, is an e-commerce store, which once it's launched will be very active promoting what is in that store for people to buy.
And even if you don't have an e-commerce website, I mean, I see companies that sell through Facebook. My son is really big into hockey, and there's a local store over in Des Moines, and they'll post pictures of products and say, hey, we're having a great sale, give us a call. And so they're taking orders on the phone and shipping them out. Even smaller people, or smaller, not people, but companies, maybe one-person companies, they're hosting live stores on Facebook and selling them there, and then they'll just invoice people.
That's a good idea. Like, if you don't have a ton of volume, a ton of traffic that you're trying to sell, there's no reason that you can't just sit on the phone all day taking phone orders.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we've talked live streaming, we've talked e-commerce, we've talked social a little bit, we've talked some email marketing some. Let's maybe spend a couple of minutes on traditional channels, and any thoughts or what you've seen with whether it be TV, radio, or print. I think those things are still happening. I haven't left my basement in a while, but I think it's still going on. Any ideas or things that you've seen as people continue to try to reach their customers through traditional media?
I still don't believe that radio and newspaper would be super effective when you're looking at where you're going to spend your advertising dollars right now, especially if your budget is being cut or limited based on what you have coming in for sales. But when it comes to TV right now, TV is a decent place to be if you're putting your spots and you're putting your messages on news channels, because everyone's watching the news right now. And as long as you can make sure that your message is consistent and empathetic to the current environment of what's going on in the world, your message will resonate with the people that are watching those channels. I've watched several different news channels, and I see a lot of different messaging that none of it really revolves around the luxury items that they have to sell, but more so around those companies being there for their clients for whatever it is. A lot of financial institutions are focusing on just making sure that their members and their clients know that their money is safe and that their stuff is there to or they're there to protect their money and make sure that everything is there when everything's over. So the only one weird commercial I saw was a commercial for Carnival Cruises, which was an interesting one for me to see advertised on a news channel right now. So, because no one's going on vacations right now.
I'm pretty sure
That would be an example of them not necessarily paying attention to what their marketing is right now.
you can probably pick up a ticket for pretty cheap.
Probably.
So speaking of knowing where you're at, we're not going to get into should you start an online presence now, but assume a lot of people have Facebook or Instagram. Speaking of ad spends, I'm assuming there's a little bit more traffic on the internet these days as everyone's working from home, where people can't look over their shoulder. So anything you've seen with targeted ad spends, whether it be Google AdWords or the ever-present Facebook ads, or anything like that could maybe provide you a little bit of a bump to your revenue if you're looking to maybe, do online ordering or anything like that?
Absolutely. We focus primarily on the social media side of things. And so that's what we've been watching a lot is, first of all, a lot more people are on social media because of what you said. And a lot of people are at home, whether they're unfortunately laid off too. If they don't have a job right now, they're naturally spending more time on their phones and on social media. And so what that means is that there's more eyes scrolling through the feeds. But at the same time, there's a lot of companies that have stopped marketing, either stopped fully or they've reduced the amount of marketing that they're doing, which means that there's a higher inventory of slots on that feed that you're paying for. And so we're kind of in this weird spot where the cost of the ads are dropping while there's actually still more eyes on the feeds because of the shift in the usage, both from the user standpoint and from the marketer standpoint.
So to help me interpret that means it could be an excellent opportunity for you to do a little bit of a spend on Facebook.
Especially if you've never done it before. Right now is a good time to at least try it and see. A lot of people have boosted posts before, but if you really want to start to get a little bit more aggressive with what you do on social media platforms, right now is a good time to try it because I think you can get a lot of traction and a lot of attention on your ads for a little bit less money than you would have a month ago or so.
That is a great point. Last thing that I wanted to talk about today, we're almost at our time limit, real close to it, is just the age-old static website, right? Everybody's got their website for the most part. Any ideas on things that people can do, whether it be design-wise, like acknowledging the crisis, or just content things for their websites that may be able to help them continue to maybe have people visit their websites when they're not accustomed to going to that website?
A space that if you are not doing it already, you should be doing it right now, especially if you have some extra time, is writing blogs for your website. Blogging on websites is something that's been around for quite a while now. And as social media started coming into play a lot more, blogging kind of, it still existed and a lot of people still did it, but it kind of got forgotten a little bit. And I think that if you were to spend a lot of time right now writing quality blogs and then sharing them across social media, you'll get people to your website. Excuse me. You'll get people to your website, and a lot of times that's the hardest thing, is getting people off of social media and onto your site. And once you do that, that's where you can start to have a conversation with people, because you can create audiences that you can run ads to based on that traffic on your site. And even beyond that, if you have the ability to have a chat bot on your website, you can also start conversations right there too, that give people a more personal experience every time they visit your website.
You and I have talked about chatbots in the past. I feel a particular way about them, so we'll save those for a different session. I agree that it can be an interesting way to go. So in kind of our closing moments here, maybe from both of you, Zach and Ricki. Zach, will have you go first. Can you give me like the top 2 or 3 sort of things you want people to take away and continue to think about as they move forward with their marketing during this quarantine period?
One of the biggest things and one of the most important things that you can do right now is be authentic with your messaging and make sure that you're being empathetic to the people that you're trying to talk to, because all of them are going through the same tough time as what you are as a company. And so connecting with them authentically is going to allow you to gain that loyalty and gain that reputation in the long term. And just make sure that you show that you're there to support them as customers, and they will be there for you later. And then the other thing is just don't stop marketing. If you stop marketing now, your customers will forget about you, and they'll start to gravitate towards those people that offer the same services as you that did keep marketing. I just read an article about, and it actually came from 2008 during the recession, and they were talking about the differences between the companies in the Great Depression that marketed and the ones that didn't. And it was companies like Kellogg's and stuff like that they really thrived through marketing, and they put a lot of effort into marketing. And in the end, they came out, and all of those customers that saw their brand throughout that entire time of not spending money, it wasn't that they weren't spending money either. It was just that they were spending money differently. And so there were people that had the money to spend, and the ones that stopped marketing did not reach those people anymore. And the ones that didn't have money to spend, they found other brands to cling to for those services. And when it came out the other side, when people started getting money again, the brands that did not market, they did not get the loyalty factor that the ones that did spend money marketing throughout the entire Great Depression, how they did. So don't stop marketing. Just shift how you're marketing and see where you can maybe save a little bit of money on how you're doing it by doing some of it yourself.
Yeah, and I guess I would add to that, think about how you can help people. I think that that's really big right now. I mean, obviously, one of the things that we're doing at CBGI in Advance Iowa are these webinars, these live streams, and our goal is to help businesses survive through this time. We don't care who is watching. We're not pulling analytics from it other than, maybe checking to see how many views, but, we're not asking for registration, we're not asking for anything. We just want to help. So think about how your company can help. I've seen photo companies give, like you said, write blogs, giving tips for, if you can't afford a photographer right now, here are some ways to improve your photography, and that can help, the clothing store that's trying to create an e-commerce or, a live stream, selling. So how can we support each other through our marketing and, get through this together?
Awesome. Very much appreciate both of your insight and time today. Thank you, Zach and Ricki, for joining us on this session of marketing during the quarantine.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Next time we'll hopefully be able to do it in person. We'll see. This webinar has been recorded. Today is April 1st, so it will be available for viewing on our archive on advanceiowa.com, cbgi.uni.edu, and IA SourceLink. As we continue to work through, this crisis, the Center for Business Growth and Innovation in Advance Iowa at UNI are continuing to do this Coping with COVID Creative Solutions for Your Business webinar series. We're last week and this week, we've been live twice a day, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. with different topics ranging from finances to operations to HR. And today we were talking marketing. Those are all free and available to view out on our website. We want you to know that if you have questions as a business or need your assistance, that we are still working, albeit from our homes and in our sweatpants, but we can still help you, with strategic planning, marketing, thinking through where, things could end up and trying to plan for the future. Know that we're here to support you, and we want you to take care of yourselves and hopefully see everybody through this crazy time. So the last thing, Zach, I just want you to give us a shout out, give us your URL and maybe your email, if you have questions on marketing. Zach is the expert, give us your digit.
So if you want to check us out online, you can go to thepixellab.co. It's just .co at the end, not .com. And then also, if you want to email me, feel free to email me anytime with any questions about anything marketing or video production or related topics at Zach, Z-A-C-H, at thepixellab.co.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here with us today. We'll make sure we add Zach's info into the description, and we hope to see you again on another one of our webinar series, Coping with COVID, Creative Solutions for Your Business. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.